What's up, jobbers, and welcome to the latest edition of the Jobber Knocker podcast. As always, it's Nestlemania alongside for the ride as a man who's tired of working with children, JC.
Oh, I mean, I work with one every week on this program, so I mean, if I can get tired of it all I want, it's a reality for me. But Nestlemania, it's the title. It's right there. If you've been living under a rock, AEW fired CM Punk, and good God, I have not been this excited for. I should have wore. God damn it, I have a CM Punk shirt. I should have worn it. I wasn't even thinking, but I just it's funny. Like we're gonna get to payback in a little bit. We're gonna talk about Monday Night Raw and whatever. We'll get to All Out at some point. Neither of us really paid much attention to it, but it's just funny. Like All Out, Tony Khan calls it their biggest week in whatever AEW history, and the lead CM Punk. And all I want to talk about is CM Punk because Nestlemania, this guy, it's just man, right away, my instant reaction is CM Punk lost, AEW lost, and we as the fans lost. But there is one way to make us all winners, and that's if the cult of personality shows up in WWE. And maybe we got a little stuff in our hope, but overall, this was. I mean, we didn't know if Tony Khan had the balls to do this. We obviously if you haven't seen the clips of him in front of the Chicago crowd, I'm kind of like a troll sometimes with fans, so I just enjoy seeing uncomfortable things. And oh my God, it just from his pre-tape thing, the only thing I watched from Collision this week was his fucking thing where his freaking crazy eyes are going, and then the clip of after. It just I don't know, it's crazy, man. And I said to you jokingly before the show, but I'm more interested in Punk right now than I think I ever have been.
I mean, it's so look, we are here on this program to have a lot of entertainment and a lot of fun. But you don't want to see anybody lose their job, and you don't want to see anybody get hurt in their, where they work in their work 100%. Environment. But when you see stuff like Tony Khan being I was fearful for my life. I've never felt like this after 30 years of going to wrestling shows. And all I could think about was, and this is a real thing for me. And Kevin Nash put it out, and it was something I should have said myself. But I mean, there might be a mental issue with CM Punk. You would think there's got to be an issue with, how this man perceives life, perceives himself, all this shit. And I agree with what Danny says here, right? Love him or hate him, Punk gets people talking. And I agree with what Danny has to say there. I used to be one of the biggest CM Punk fans in the entire world. You know that. You guys used to shit on me all the time, being straight edge and the whole all that nonsense and doing the fucking I'm better than you, the whole thing. And I deserved 99.9% of it. But what I thought about this was, like you said, nobody really wins in this. And I think that's the suckiest part of this entire situation. Because when I read the press release, I was just kind of shocked. It actually fucking happened. Because we had this discussion a long time ago. We didn't think that Tony Khan had the cojones to fire this one up. And I'm curious what your thoughts are, because we can speculate all day. But I don't think it's just the lunging backstage. I don't think it's just the Jungle Boy thing. I don't think it's just the Elite thing. There must be something that is behind closed doors that must have absolutely unraveled for something like this to happen, because I don't see Tony Khan letting this go by without something egregious.
Well, it's the straw that broke the camel's back. I mean, obviously we know about the other incidents and whatever, but the big thing of what it came down to me, and I'm going to equate this to something else in a minute for obviously completely different reasons, and this person handled it completely different, but the name of AEW is All Elite Wrestling. So there was never going to be a way that the 3 EVPs there of the Elite were ever going to be the ones that something happened to. Like, he suspended them once, whatever, but it was just one of those things now. Happened with a different town. We still don't know, there's going to be footage at some point maybe we get to see, which will be interesting. But, I mean, clearly Punk's always been a loose cannon. He's an asshole. I think he'd admit he's kind of an asshole, but it's just one of those things. Like, I've said it on this program all the time. We know what Punk is. Punk has been telling us who he is for 20, 25, however long we've known him on screen. He has literally told us who he is as everything. Like, that's what he is. He's an arrogant prick. Like, that's who Punk is. Like, and it's just one of those things. Like, he didn't get along with the Elite, clearly. And it was an issue, and they're your big stars. And they made a second show, literally, and TNT was all for it, where Punk would be the face of it and they could do it and then kind of keep them apart. And there was the big rumor they were supposed to have their come to Jesus meeting this week, since they were all going to be under one roof, since Dynamite and Collision were taped at the same time. But whatever you relayed based on the reports of it didn't happen, whether it's because the Elite never actually agreed to it and Punk was willing to. So it's one of those things, like, it's easy to point the finger at CM Punk. He's a boisterous asshole, problem child, has been his whole career, but I think we got to look at the other end too. Obviously, we know that the overarching thing is Tony Khan may not have complete control of certain things like this, because when stuff like this is getting out of your company, yeah, it's like, you think this stuff doesn't happen backstage in WWE where people get in fights and shit? That's been happening forever. It's just the same thing in the locker room. Like, watch fucking NFL training camp. Guys are getting in fucking fist fights, and they're supposed to be on the same team. Like, wrestlers are on the same team, but you're also competing with each other. So yeah, there's going to be people who don't get around. There's going to be little skirmishes. There's going to be this and that. But for this to be like an issue and with whatever, there's obviously deeper stuff going on here. And look, Cody's never come out and said it, but we're pretty sure the reason he left is because he was having problems with the Elite, and he won't say anything bad about it. He praised them or whatever, but him and Kenny never really saw eye to eye, and the Bucks kind of were peacemakers, whatever, and all this with the relationship. And once again, it's looking like Kenny Omega's on the other end of this CM Punk thing, and the Young Bucks got involved to defend their boy. Same thing with Hangman. So, I mean, it's just, Punk's been saying literally since he got there pretty much that he's in a locker room with a bunch of children and he hates dealing with children. So it's just like the writing's been on the wall for this shit to keep happening. And they had the Band-Aid with Collision, but clearly it wasn't working. It wasn't working, and the incident happened. And look, I said that we lost as fans and AEW lost and CM Punk lost. But you know what the biggest loss, honestly, for this is Collision, which really sucks, because even though CM Punk wasn't my favorite part and the reason why I love that show, he was the reason that show existed like it did. We've already seen people from AEW pretty much confirm that this soft brand split that they've had, which made Collision unique from Dynamite, is pretty much ending, and it's just going to be so. I am going to equate it to like Raw and SmackDown like 10 years ago, where we had Raw, where all the new shit happened, and SmackDown just kind of had the same shit like again. And I'm worried for that for Collision, because we're already entering the seats part of the year where no one's going to be fucking watching because there's football anyway. So RIP to my favorite wrestling show. It's probably pretty fucking dead, because it's going to be the same shit everywhere now. And like, you have the immaturity of the fucking Young Bucks doing their fucking bullshit after, and Kenny with this little fucking Pepsi thing. It's just like these guys, they are children. CM Punk was right. And CM Punk is obviously an asshole. So you mix children with an asshole, and the children have a lot of power, and the asshole probably was given too much power too. Heads are gonna butt. Kaboom! You got fucking Jungle Boy out here doing God knows what and shit. It was toxic, and there wasn't control, and this is what you get, and it sucks. But CM Punk to WWE, baby.
So I wonder, before we get into other stuff in this program, I just wanted to bring this up because it was in my timeline very, very much a lot. And I'm curious your thoughts about this, because like you did kind of allude to this earlier with, this happens all the time in WWE, happens in pro sports, all this stuff. But Vince wouldn't let this happen. Vince wouldn't even probably let this get out, let alone.
Oh no, it wouldn't get out. If it happened, it wouldn't get out.
It wouldn't get out,
taken care of,
and it would be taken internally.
Yes.
But the other thing is that Tony Khan has no social awareness, as you alluded to. But the other thing that is, he's too nice of a gentleman.
He's everybody's friend.
He's everybody's friend. Yeah. And somebody, I forget, maybe Kevin Nash or somebody else had said that he needs somebody like an Undertaker in that locker room. He needs somebody that's a heavy for him, that takes care of this stuff, so it doesn't get to a point in which he needs to address it. You know what I mean? And I think
when this shit started, Nessa? And I'm not saying this as a honk, but like this shit started happening after Cody left. It like got out of control.
Sure.
He was a presence that people probably really respected. And I mean, you see it like literally the guy refuses to say anything bad about anyone, which again, I could applaud him for that, but it doesn't mean there weren't issues. There were clearly issues. Like, and it's been hinted at, but it's just like, he's not ever going to throw anyone under the bus. He's going to like, that's just how he is. Like him and Punk couldn't be more opposite in that way, but it's just like, this is two top stars that if you look at it from this perspective, that the Elite have chased out of their own company. It just, that's a little concerning to me because it's like, what if all of a sudden they get a disagreement with another top star? They run, you know what I mean? And it's just, obviously, I'm not saying it's all on, it's not. There's clearly a major part of this, which is CM Punk's issue. Like, and that's the problem is like both parties were at fault and they weren't meeting in the middle, whether one was willing to at one point or not. Like, it didn't happen and it got worse and there wasn't control. And it's unfortunate. But like I said, Nestlemania, I want him in WWE just for the entertainment of it. Do I want to see him wrestle? I've said since the beginning he's come back. No, but I think he has a lot to offer. There are definitely some fun feuds for him. If you believe the reports, he wanted to come here last year. So the long con could be that CM Punk got himself fired on purpose because he wanted out anyways to go, he made up with Triple H and Miz where he randomly showed up at a Raw without anyone's permission and just fucking doing all this shit. It's just like, the dude's a fucking weirdo. He always has been. He's always told us he's an asshole. So expect the unexpected with CM Punk, man. Always.
I mean, I don't know much more. We don't have to talk much more about it. I look at this as a very intriguing situation because for me, I could talk about this all day. It could be the whole podcast, but
it's all I've thought about since it happened. Literally, I was watching Payback and I was thinking about Punk's watching. Ooh, imagine Punk interacting with that person. Ooh, yeah, it's just like I was just like, and I'm not even a Punk guy, but like I said, it's just like it's something like that. When I say he has a lot to offer wrestling, he does because he is a name and he brings a skill set that is very rarely matched. And he brings something. And like Danny said in the comments earlier, he gets people talking. And that's when you're in the entertainment business, it's the most important thing for better or for worse. Look at AEW just had a fucking second pay-per-view. And we're not even going to mention it here off the top. We're talking about the guy they fired before it in his hometown, by the way. It's just like this fucking banana land. This is a real thing.
So I just wanted to put this out. And again, this is me. And I assume that you're going to say that I'm correct because this seems like a logical standpoint here. If I was Tony Khan, right? You don't always need to cater to the fans. You can take a big woohoo. Oh, by the way, Huge Wang is back for the Rikishi Stinkface pop. So there you go. Got a shout out for Huge Wang. We love hashtag Stinkface Gate.
You love Huge Wang's Nestle?
Yes, as well as hashtag Stinkface Punk. There we go. I gotta put him over. I mean, he makes the effort. So you gotta love it. I'll always put him over. So my thought was, you didn't need to go out and record that thing, and you didn't need to go out on the stage in Chicago on Saturday before the pay-per-view. What you could, and I think should have done, in my opinion, was wait till after the pay-per-view and just release it on Monday.
Don't acknowledge it.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's
Monday
what WWE
morning
would do, and they wouldn't even acknowledge. But it's what we get back to, like Tony Khan, and it's part of the reason why I appreciate him because it's a different approach. And there are things when he does things like that where it's good. But in this situation, he's just making so much fucking harder for himself. And Stoop, we might hit on that later because guess where Survivor Series is, Nestlemania?
Chi-Town, baby.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna get to that definitely. But it's just like this is one of my favorite wrestling stories ever. I fucking love it. It is so much fun. It's just like the guy is a fucking. It's one of those things, and he's
a shitstorm. He brings a 100%. Shitstorm with him anywhere he goes, no matter what he fucking does.
Yep.
And I think that's the issue. Is like, he's not. This is totally different two animals. But like they always used to say, Vince Russo by himself could fucking ruin anything. But they had a Vince McMahon funneling his thoughts and keeping him in line, and it worked. That's why the Attitude Era was so important. I feel like CM Punk, under a fucking house of WWE with Endeavor, they're gonna fucking chain him to a wall and be like, go out when we say to and come back when we tell you to, and then he'll be like, yes sir, can I still have $40 million, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, they'll pay him. And also it's one of those things like, look at like they will allow him to do things he wants to do, but there will be rules, and I don't think he'll be able to pull his bullshit there, because if he does, they're not going to put up with it, because you go in that locker room, it's not a bunch of children, as he said, it's a bunch of fucking, he goes in there like, if Edge is still around, like it's just like there's all these people in there that just like he's not gonna be able to pull his shit with, like it's not gonna happen. And I think that was, to me, it's weird with Punk because it seems like he shows so many things of growth. Like he does all these great human causes that he supports and so many amazing things that I love. Like we mentioned it earlier, like I alluded to it, like he randomly showed up at a Raw and allegedly his intent was to make up with Triple H and The Miz, two people he has had issues with in the past. It's just like, those are signs of growth, but it's just, so it's one of those things at the end of the day, it's like, I can't imagine what it was like, the relationship between him and the Elite, that it was this bad. That it's just like, it's for someone who genuinely seemed to be having the time of his life since he returned, loving it, and just like the highs and lows. It's just, I mean, it's one of those things like, I love documentaries. This is something that like in fucking 10, 20 years, I want to watch a fucking documentary on this shit because I think it'd be fascinating to hear everyone's perspective of this, especially like the people flying the wall. Because clearly, like, I think a lot of the Collision people were very pro-Punk people. They really liked them when they happened to be Nestlemania, like I've alluded to, veterans who have worked in the bigger company in WWE. So it's just like, it's something there. Like, there definitely is a maturity thing because the people he's butting head with are people who have never been in WWE. They're younger talent. They're, just so there's definitely a disconnect in that locker room. But I don't know. It's fascinating either way. We're going to have more Punk in the Hope, but we should probably go to
Payback. All right. Let's go to Payback right now. Sorry. Your Birdski's here. I got to do one more thing. What's more damaging, CM Punk to a locker room or Christian Cage?
Christian Cage's presser performance this week was phenomenal.
When he just walked up to the press conference, he's like, "How's everybody's father doing?" I went, "Ugh." Like
he knows exactly. He's just one of those guys that gets it. He gets it.
The other part with the Edge part made me go like when he goes, "I don't have any friends besides
Luchasaurus."
Yeah. I was just like, this guy is so fucking good at his job. Like he's just so fucking funny. It's so funny. You got another bet, I see. All right.
1-0.
Well, there you go. Are you betting on baseball tonight?
Probably, but I'm not watching that. I'm watching Dana White Contender Series, baby.
Oh my gosh! All right,
my girl, Barbosa, big win.
So let's go to Payback. But let's go to Payback. We start off with a steel cage with Becky Lynch and your girl, the one and only Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus, excuse me, in a steel cage right off the bat. There, I'm curious your thoughts on this. I'm trying to bring up the results so I can have the exact.
I was gonna say, do you want me to go first?
No, I got this. I got it. So Becky Lynch beats Trish Stratus 20 minutes flat inside a steel cage. So here's my thought.
Okay.
I was actually entertained by this matchup. I as much as there's one or two spots in there that I went, what the fuck are you doing? There was one particular spot in there where Becky Lynch was trying to escape. And I went to I went to myself, what the fuck is that? Because Trish Stratus was near the door. And all I could think about was, why would the babyface want to escape? And that was one of the glaring issues before we get into the positives of this stuff. But I thought these women went out of their way to be physical. I thought they did a great job. She had the fucking Star Trek wart on her head by the end of the smashing. I'm not a Star Trek guy, so I apologize to all our fans that are Trekkies. She just looked awful. And I just went like, they went out of their way to try to get us there. Now, granted, the whole lead up and the whole fucking kit and caboodle from the beginning to the end, we didn't give a shit about leading up to it. We wanted this to fucking end. Hopefully it is ending. We don't have to see them touch each other or talk to each other and just not existent. But God damn it. Like I was not looking forward to this matchup at all. And I was pleasantly surprised when I watched this match.
So obviously I was away this weekend, Labor Day weekend. I went up to Maine for one last little summer of JC before, being a slave to the fall and work comes into play. So I didn't watch Payback till Monday. So obviously I had seen the internet just absolutely glowing about this match and everything. And I was like, interesting. So of course I'm going in. I'm like, I need to find a way to hate this thing because it's a fucking steel cage match. It's the worst fucking feud of the year. Fucking Trish is terrible. But Nestlemania, it was a good match. In terms of steel cage matches, it's one of the better steel cage matches I've seen in a long time. They went all out. And again, I'll say this again because, even though I was wrong about them having a good match, I'm taking my victory lap because you know what we wouldn't have got at SummerSlam? That. We wouldn't have got that at SummerSlam. They saved the payoff ultimate thing for Payback, by the way. Payback for Becky Lynch. It makes sense. Look at that. And they gave them, like you said, 20 minutes. And it had plenty of time. Everything breathed. Both women got all their shit in. They got even the Zoe stuff in after to give her a little rub from Trish before Trish, it seems like, might go away for a while because she kind of got like the appreciation from the crowd after, which is cool to see. But yeah, no, this was a solid steel cage match. The one thing that kind of pissed me off when I was watching it is Michael Cole just he was over the top commentary, and this is shit that bothers me. Like, he was just trying to sell everything they did like it was the greatest thing ever. I'm like, dude, I had to mute him because I'm like, I'm enjoying the match. You telling me that it's the best thing ever is making me not enjoy it. It's not helping you, but it's just a match of the year. It's not the fucking match of the year. It's a goddamn good match. It's a good match, and that's fine. It wasn't even the best match in the card. We'll get to that. This is a good match, maybe the second best match in the card. But good God, I was like, Michael Cole is so good. But this kind of reminded me of Michael Cole like 10 years ago when he was just over the top with like shit, with like the agenda bullshit, and you could just tell Vince was screaming and saying in the air. This was him. It's just like, dude, stop. You by trying to be over the top and really sell everything they do, like the callbacks and everything, took me out of it. So that is my only negative with it, and it had nothing to do with the competitors. I thought Trish was great. I thought Becky was great. I thought for what Zoe needed to do, she was great. And this match way over delivered. And I was pleasantly surprised because, you know me, I hate steel cage matches. And this one entertained me.
I don't know. I love Victoria, obviously. So when they did the Widow's Peak, I popped for that. I love the Lita stuff. I thought it was great. So they did a lot of great storytelling in that. But to me, Payback was all about one man. And when he came out and he delivered the only way he can in his Ernest-like mentality with the fucking special guest referee and talking to the Miz and the whole thing. I wasn't a fan of the Miz and LA Knight, the match itself. I thought that it was obviously LA Knight.
Kind of what we expected though, right?
15 minutes and 45 seconds. Again, we expect the Miz to lose. We expect, so in my parts, there's an old saying with a lot of my younger friends that I've been friends with since high school. Someone macho mans their moment, which is from WrestleMania 10. Bret Hart wins. He's up on everybody's shoulders, and Macho Man just jumps up to the top rope and goes like this. And it was just like, it's stupid. So all I could think about was like Cena took the fucking shirt off and fucking shook his hand and raised it. He's like, "It's your moment, kid," and then like walked away. And all I could think about was, nobody's looking at you, LA Knight. They're looking at John Cena. Like, what are you doing? I get what they were trying to do, but it felt like during the matchup that we were more concerned with the dynamic of the Miz and Cena and LA Knight. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a focus on LA Knight because I felt like this was a very important moment for LA Knight. Now it seems like we're on the way to Cena and Miz again, which again, I'm sure will be fun and whatever. It's always good. But I was just kind of like, oh, that's all we're getting. Like, I kind of want to see where this goes. But sometimes
none of that stuff really bothered me much. Cause I mean, first of all, the Miz and Cena going back and forth brought me back. Like those two, it's just like a plug and play. It's just like, mwah. If we still had Daniel Bryan WWE, it's just like him and Miz and then Miz and Cena, like plug and play. Like that's like the top shelf Miz stuff. So that like puts a smile on my face. But I mean, I understand what you're saying. I thought Cena, for the most part, as a referee, mostly stayed out of the way and let these guys work. He obviously got involved with little things when Miz tried to cheat, but I didn't think it was that overbearing. I mean, we know LA Knight isn't a fucking technical master in the ring. It's not. He's going to need help. And the Miz, like, kind of like, he elevates you in different ways character-wise, but if you need him to, like kind of make your athletic ability and in-ring look better, it's not usually going to work like that if you're already limited. Like, he will kind of, like, keep that. That is what it is. So I did think they gave him probably a little bit too much time in this one, but look, I mean, look at like Cena gave LA Knight the rub after the match. It obviously like we talk about Monday, but it seems like I kind of like this because I think the Miz is going to be getting Cena a win to get back under his belt because we've talked about after WrestleMania, like Cena's come back and done nothing but lose. So feud with the Miz, you can go over the Miz and you get the win, and then maybe that's when we start to get Cena and LA Knight, Cena and Jimmy Uso, and these little things, and so. I didn't mind it as much, but yeah, like the match, it is what it is. It's an LA Knight Miz match. I don't think any of us expected it to be great, but I really enjoyed the dynamics with all of them. And I do think that Cena and Miz right away is the right call because I think Cena weirdly needs a win.
The only thing I would say about our LA Knight and the Miz is like they're almost too similar in terms of style wrestling wise. They're already similar in terms of their, so I think sometimes when you're that similar with something, it doesn't work. And Again, I'm not necessarily going to bag on it too much, but it was just something that was in my head. Moving on, we had Austin Theory lose to Cinnamon Toast Ray in a singles match for the United States Championship, 9 minutes and 45 seconds. Cinnamon Toast Crunch everywhere makes me think of Saturday Morning Slam. and some kid show. They're loving in that fucking Cinnamon Toast Crunch money. But it was a little too much for me. Obviously, Ray is doing Ray things, and you can't complain about Ray, but it is what it is. It's not even like a thing to me. It's just like, let's move on.
Yeah, it was a sponsored match to get Ray a win to continue to steer us towards Ray.
Is Ray always getting the Cinnamon Toast Crunch, by the way? It feels like he's
gotten a lot of the sponsor matches. Obviously, LA Knight and Bray Wyatt had the Pitch Black match, but I mean, what Ray and Dom had the sponsor at was that Mania? Yeah. And then I think Ray's had another one since. So yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense. Rey Mysterio has always been a character to cater to the kids. Like, he's a dude in a mask. He looks like a superhero. Like, he jumps out the sky real high, off springboards and shit. So
all right, moving on. We have the Judgment Day. Finn Balor and Damian Priest with the upset of the night, I think, and probably the upset of the last couple of months, because I didn't see this coming. 20 minutes, 45 seconds. They are your new undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions. And because of such, I have now dubbed myself Senor Nestlemania. Thank you, Joe Backcracker, for that. I will now be Senor Nestlemania for the rest of forever.
If you've been reading the chat tonight, I believe he's been calling you Senora Nestlemania because you look like an old woman. But
that's not true. Oh, he did at the beginning. At the very beginning, he did. Senora. See, you know what? I think he's my friend for like 2 seconds, and then he does something like that, and he just shits all over me.
He's got to reel you in.
He's like Yogi Bear. He just pulls his fucking pants down, and he's fucking shitting all over me. It's ridiculous. A bear shits in the woods.
Have you ever seen Yogi Bear pull his pants down and shit all over someone?
Bear shit in the woods. All right.
You're weird.
He says correction, Senorita Billie Jean Nestlemania. That's
Senora. Senorita is a young woman. You're a senora. You're an old woman.
I'm not old.
Yes, you are.
I look younger than you.
No, you don't. Nestlemania, this was the match of the night. Finn Balor's a Grand Slam champion. I mean, look at this. I agree with you. This was kind of unexpected, especially because they teased KO and Sammy with the profits and all this and that. But we've kind of been asking for this for pretty much since WrestleMania. They kind of set their sights in the tag titles, some combination of these three in the Judgment Day. And they gave it to us at this weird time where maybe we thought Priest was headed towards the singles run, but now he's got a new briefcase and they got these tag titles. It sure seems like we're going to be slow playing it a little bit. But I mean, look, Dom pretty much made this a handicap match at one point. So it was another person for fucking KO to do kabooms with, which I love. They had the big one when he jumped through the crowd to the table. Obviously, JD McDonough gets involved again. It was almost the deciding factor in the match. We have Rhea spearing KO through a barricade. Dom eventually did use the briefcase to help Balor get the win, which I thought was interesting. But I mean, this just had it all. I mean, these street fight falls count anywhere, fucking nonsense, fucking violent fests are great. KO flourishes in these. And it was fun because you get all the outside interference. And I really feel like Judgment Day, this was them really stamping themselves as the dumb. Oh, Roman Reigns, you're going to take 3 months off? Well, we're going to make the Judgment Day more dominant than the fucking you were. So love it.
So you know what hurt my feelings about this entire thing was like, this is what I wanted KO and Sammy to do all the fucking time since WrestleMania. And it almost sucks because like I would remember this reign if they did shit like this once in a while on a Raw or once in a while on a pay-per-view, because like the Terry Funk stuff, the fucking jerseys and the slap shots and like everything, the blood, like it wasn't a lot of blood, but it was great. JD McDonough taking a fucking yaga. Like he just got the swanton.
He got spiked off the table.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like there's so many things that happened in this match. And all I could think about was, God damn it. Like this is fun. This is a good match. Like those are the matches that not only are palate cleansers, but they're also matches you can show non-wrestling fans.
Oh yeah, and I think fun.
And that's it. And that's what wrestling needs to be. It doesn't need to be a fucking like John Moxley fucking 45 seconds into the match, but you can have matches where it makes sense. So for me, I was really excited about this match. And I think I'm excited to see where this happens with the Judgment Day. I'm reinvigorated with watching the Judgment Day again. 100%. Moving on, I don't have this in the Wikipedia, but Grayson Waller effect with Cody Rhodes. I did not expect this to happen, that they were going to bring out Jey Uso for the trade or for the whatever. They made a joke about the EVP thing on Monday, but
cool. Shout out.
But I'm curious. I mean, we can save this for Monday, but I mean, we can save this for later in the regular part of the show. But I mean, I think we all are in agreement here that Jey is going to get, kind of treated a certain way on Raw, but they did make that backstage segment with Pierce saying, like, just letting you know, someone's getting traded from here to SmackDown because of you. It's got to be Cody, in my opinion.
I don't think it is. So before that comment, I would have agreed with you, but I just think, and we can get into Monday. I think it's a good point. But they clearly want to save Jay and Jimmy for WrestleMania. So to do that, you kind of have to put them on different shows. So Jimmy's going to have a nice heel singles run on SmackDown. Jay's going to have the babyface run on Raw and kind of get it. But my immediate thought, so the match before this, we had the babyface tag team lose, who are 2 single stars. I'm like, oh man, we have a lot of babyface single stars on Raw right now. Like, we're loaded. If you go down Cody, and then you can count Seth there, but then you have KO and Sammy, and then you mix in the guys like Ricochet and guys like and Drew McIntyre, Kofi Kingston, Riddle. It's like, that's a lot of baby faces. Obviously, we have like Gunther and then Nakamura, but it's like after this pretty thin. So, I mean, maybe we'll get to some of those things later, but I was just thinking, so Jay's coming into this mix, and I'm just like, how are they going to do his feuds? But then they kind of showed us on Monday. It's like, nobody likes Jey Uso except for one man. That one man is Sami Zayn. In Nestlemania, I don't think it was a mistake that they lost their tag titles at this time, because when Adam Pearce made that comment of somebody has to go and it's going to upset people, I'm like, what is the one thing that could make Jay's road even more difficult? If his one friend is the one sent to SmackDown. If Sammy and KO are broken up, then that's very easy. KO mad at Jey Uso. KO like getting upset with Cody, because I agree. Like we know Cody's going to get back to Roman at some point, but I don't think he needs to be on SmackDown to do it. I mean, look at Cody's been going to SmackDown anyways. Wasn't even on Raw this week, but he came out after the show. He's advertised for Raw next week. They might just jump him around anyways. But I think when they're making a point to talk about a trade, it has to kind of have a storyline. And if it isn't Cody, it's Sammy or KO makes a lot of sense. And taking away Sammy from Jay, his only ally on that show, I think makes it really interesting, because even as you saw, the good guys all hate Jey Uso. So I think that's an interesting dynamic. It's a way to set up some different, interesting type feuds. And I think a JKO makes a lot of sense right off the rip if Sammy ends up having to go to SmackDown. But who knows how that goes. But that one line kind of put that in my head. And look, it still could be Cody, but it put it in my head, be like, Sammy or KO, especially since they just lost, it seems like they could be the ones that are traded.
I am a little butthurt with this comment. I think JC is the new detective of the program. Cue the shimmy. There it is. A little butthurt about that, but that's okay. That's okay. So yeah, moving back into what we were talking about here, Rhea Ripley defeats Raquel Rodriguez in 17 minutes and 20 seconds. I was yelling at the screen, end it, fucking end it. This kept going and going and going. I wanted this to end in the worst way possible. Thank God it did.
I enjoyed this match more than the next match. The next match felt like it was 3 hours long. This one, look, and I'll say this, Nestlemania, because we talk about all the time about the women not getting time. Both title matches were given time in this show. I thought this was fine. I know you're not really into the Raquel thing anyways, so I understand it, but I didn't see that many glaring issues with this. I enjoyed the physicality, and I was glad they were given time. Was it my favorite thing? Absolutely not, but it was a lot less painful than the fucking main event, which I felt like literally never ended. I almost turned it off before it ended because I knew it was happening anyways, but I was like, I got things to do. This is not exciting.
Yeah, Seth Rollins defeats Shinsuke Nakamura 26 minutes and 5 seconds. That was
26 minutes.
26.
Holy
minutes.
Shit!
That's a Roman Reigns match.
What are we doing?
Yeah, I think it was just the wrong styles for each other. It didn't work. I don't understand.
Let's run it back.
I mean, I like the presentation with the anime and the comic book stuff. Like, I appreciate that.
Cool.
Yeah. I appreciate the presentation of Shinsuke Nakamura. But when I got to the ending, it was odd. He was looking up with his eyes at the 3 count, and I was just like, "What are we doing?" And then he attacks him after the show, and it's not. We can kind of translate into Monday if we want, but it's bizarre. It was a very bizarre thing. Once I knew the tag titles were switched on to Judgment Day, I'm like, well, there's no cash and there's no reason for me to give a shit about this anymore. So, maybe Shinsuke was going to shock the world, at least at that point, but I don't know. Maybe they will give it to Shinsuke if they do a rematch. I don't know. It's bizarre.
I still think it's the rematch is screaming to me. Okay, maybe that's when the beatdown happens and Priest cashes in. It's just like, I don't know. I just can't see it. It just, that title is on a top star like Seth and already is like kind of floundering. So we're going to put it on someone who's not that super believable. That's tough, man. It's tough. It's a tough thing. And I was thinking about the World Heavyweight Championship before we get into the shine. I was kind of thinking about it, and I was like thinking about Seth's feud, and I'm like, man, I've been critical of Seth, but maybe I need to be more critical of the booking of this, because I'm thinking when you look at Raw Nestlemania, Who would you say are the top 3 men's stars? Do we agree that it's probably Seth, Cody, and Gunther?
I would agree with that. I would think that
singles, yeah. And then like
singles.
next up is that's when you get into the KOs,
the Sammys, Jays,
Priest. Well, yeah,
Jay
Jay wasn't there. I just mean people who have been there.
Okay.
But like I would even put McIntyre there. Seth hasn't faced McIntyre. Seth hasn't faced Cody. Seth hasn't faced Gunther. He's faced Finn twice, who's kind of believable, but it's like Finn twice. Now we're gonna have Nakamura twice. He did face Priest and Dom, I think, on like Raws, but it's just like you're telling me you got this new world title and Seth isn't beating the best of the best. It's like, so it's not all I think it's been kind of unfair that I've been kind of critical of him because I think he's for the most part done a good job, but it's like the booking of the title hasn't been strong enough. It's like, obviously they're not going to have Seth go out there and beat Cody. We know why they're not doing that, but it's one of those things like Gunther, I know he's unbeatable, but it's one of those things like him not even vying for it. You also, how easy would it be to have Seth and McIntyre have a feud? Like that's a legit win. That's a former 2-time champion. It's someone who's believable, but instead it's like, yeah, like Finn's the most believable guy, but who hasn't beat Finn Balor the last 2 years? Finn Balor's probably lost 80% of his matches on TV the last 2 years. Priest is obviously a guy who's on the trajectory up. Dom, we know what Dom is. And then Nakamura, who hasn't beaten Nakamura the last 2 years. So I just think the booking around this title, the opponents for Seth have been weak. And it's clearly continuing, and it's doing a disservice to him in that title. Seth Shank.
Yeah, Seth versus Shanky. Come on, Danny. I want Gunther to drop the IC title and go after Rollins. Says
I think that's the long-term plan.
I mean,
I think Gunther's the next after Priest. I think it's Gunther.
I don't know. I just don't look at Rollins holding on to that title till the Rumble. That seems like,
can't. I mean, Priest has to get it at some point. Priest can't be a failed cash-in. You can't. That guy'd be dead if you did that. Yeah, you've come this far with him. It's like you got to give him the shot.
But so that goes back to your comment though about putting it on somebody that isn't deserving of it.
I think he's more deserving than Nakamura.
Right, but you're saying building a whole show around that.
You say it every week. We've seen what Nakamura is. Like he's amazing, but it's just like it's not believable in WWE. Priest is he's huge. He's a massive man. Like it's believable. It's a guy they've been behind. It's a guy who's been for the most part on the main roster booked very well. Like he's a believable world champion to me. When you have split titles, he's a believable world champion.
I believe that you need to have credible people who are already a veteran to get the title off the ground.
But I mean, they already have one in Seth Rollins. Right. To me, it's more about the matchups. The matchups have been good, but like you can do different matchups with Priest than I guess you can with Seth because we just talked about it. Just they're kind of like heel, like they're kind of heel deficient on Raw. Mm-hmm. Like it just besides the top of the top, but it's weird. It's like I said, like Gunther seems like the A champion, even though he has the quote unquote mid card title, but I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up because I know I've been critical of Seth and his run, and I think Seth has done all he can. I think I really like when I was thinking about when they were like literally like, oh, let's do the rematch with Shin. I was like, man, they're not giving him the most credible challengers, and I think that's hurting the title more than anything else.
Fair enough. Would you like to get into the shine? Seeing as though we're 37 minutes in the program.
Oh yeah, let's do it, baby.
All right, let's go. Get some good stuff in here. Let's go.
I mean, look, I fight you every week, but I think I could do a pretty good job just fucking fighting myself on this program, but not as good as the man on Monday. The Miz TV this week is why the Miz is an all-time great, period at everything. But in the entertainment realm, he's one of the best of all time. Man, it's not even a discussion because I don't know many other people. I don't even know if I could count on my hand, if I could fill a hand with people who could pull that off. He is so fucking good. And the fucking cameraman following scene of the ring in his entrance, because obviously, again, I didn't watch this live, but I heard about it. But I didn't hear about what the cameraman did. Shout out to that guy. That was fucking great. But the Miz, like, doing the skull-crushing finale to the air, having the conversation, just like, he literally did the entire segment by himself, and it was by far the best segment of the week. Not even, like, it was an all-time segment. Like, that's something I'm probably never going to forget. And we go back and we reflect on the Miz's career. That's something that's going to come up. Like, this entire feud with LA Knight, he has been A+, but now with this transition to Cena, he didn't even need Cena there to get it over, man. This was a fucking masterclass in entertainment.
See, I'd be curious to, I can't invite Joe in right now, but Joe, the backcracker in the comments, I know he fucking hated it because he messaged me. He fucking hated Miz TV.
How do you hate that?
So much that he put the wolf from Home Alone, the GIF in there.
Well, so I think he's on an island because everyone else on Twitter seemed to love it too.
So I'm somewhere in the middle because I enjoyed it and I thought it was good, but I don't think it was an all-timer. I look at it like it was good for its purpose. Now let's see where it goes with it, because he's on Raw. Cena's clearly on SmackDown. What are we gonna do here? Maybe
Dude, Miz has been on fucking SmackDown multiple times. LA Knight's been on this.
Here you go.
The
See,
brand split doesn't matter, dude. The brand split is not a thing. Like people go wherever they, if they want someone to feud, they'll fucking send them there. It's just a fake soft brand split just to be like, oh, this is whatever. All
right, so both Joes agree that it was shit, apparently. So that's
apparently
what it's in the comments.
Both Joes are morons.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I hate to say it, guys. I hate to say it. Something must be something with the name Joe.
I'd be curious.
Yeah, I have people who are Miz haters were fucking texting me about that segment because they saw clips.
I will say this much. I'm always a big honk for people doing things with inanimate objects or doing like invisible stuff. Like it takes a lot to do. And like
100%.
It felt like I was watching, Roger Rabbit or something. Like it was like that kind of like goofball-y kind of thing. And he did a good enough job. He did a good enough job, making it seem like he gave a shit about it. Like they probably gave it to him and he was like, well,
when he saw like a big punch, I was dying.
Yeah. I think he did a good enough job. The problem I have is where does it go from here? So I think like
hopefully it's Miz Cena. What do you mean where does it go? It's Miz versus Cena. That's where it's going.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Don't get hot at me. Get hot at the Joe Peninsula.
I'm just saying, Cena's advertised for SmackDown, not Raw. That's why, again, I think it worked because once again, it's Miz fucking with the crowd, so it's instant heat.
No Stimmy versus JC tomorrow. Uh-oh.
Doc, you better Stimmy or no money for Doc tomorrow.
Ooh. Now, see, for someone that doesn't know, they could be thinking a lot of things that you guys would be doing under the table and whatever else, but that's beside the point.
His name is the Backcracker. So what do you think he's doing to me?
Well, that people don't know that all the time.
You literally call him the Backcracker on this show. You think it's just like, is he like a nutcracker? No, he's a backcracker.
Now, if he's a nutcracker, so for Christmas, can we just call him Nutcracker during December? That'd be great. That'd be great.
You can call him whatever you want.
I'm going to start calling him the Nutcracker because he busts my nuts all the fucking time, this guy. He busts my balls. So anything else that you really enjoyed on Raw, SmackDown, or anything in between?
We talked about the Uso stuff. I love that everyone had a problem with them. I did enjoy all the Judgment Day stuff because it finally feels like we're getting somewhere with JD kind of getting in. He obviously I love the part where he got the win with the help of Dom and Rhea kind of orchestrated it because Rhea's been kind of on the anti-JD McDonough thing, it seemed like, but it kind of perked me up being like, okay, Priest seems to be the one that's against it. And Rhea's just kind of like, it seems like she's playing an act for Priest, but the minute he leaves, she leaves. She whispered instructions to Dom to do something. I was like, man, so we're going to find out what Rhea actually wants. Like if she costs JD, that means she doesn't want him in Judgment Day. If she does, then that means she's kind of loyal to Finn and wants him in Judgment Day. So the fact that Dom was out there to help him, I was like, okay, it seems like everyone's on board, and Priest kind of gave him like the good job kid in the back, but it wasn't really selling. But I just kind of like that we're finally getting somewhere because JD makes so much sense in this group. It adds a different dynamic, and it continues to build that wedge between Finn and Priest. And I love the way they kind of tease the briefcase with him being like, you got to get rid of that briefcase, man. And just like whatever. And he obviously pulls out the fucking Senor purple one, which is hilarious. WWEshop.com. Buy yours today. Cause that's
$99.
Yeah.
$99.
Like $500 cheaper than a belt. But I don't know. I love that the Judgment Day, they continue to find ways to make this shit interesting, even though we've seen like so much similar stuff for like 6 months. It's just these guys and gals are on a different level right now. They really are.
I will be curious to see what happens. It seems like the inevitable will happen with they all turn on Priest and he becomes a babyface, but I'm not really sold on it. So I will see where it goes. I think every time I see JD McDonough with the rest of Judgment Day, I just think there must be LWO on Raw. Like the height requirement is like 5'9" and below. Like it's just what it is. But I do kind of like that Rhea Ripley is the voice of reason, but also kind of like there's no leaders. I get it, but really like she is kind of like
she's pulling the strings.
So I like it. I think it's a good time. Anything else you want to get to or what up? I feel like SmackDown is kind of because we had a pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean the best thing on SmackDown was probably the Cena stuff. Obviously, Jimmy interrupting him with he has new music. Him and Jay both do. Cena hit him with the AA, and what I did like is they kind of teased it for this week where Jimmy and AJ kind of like getting in a feud, and I believe they're actually having a match on SmackDown. But the interesting part was Solo did come and save Jimmy from AJ, even though Jimmy wasn't happy about it. So I mean, there's still like little bloodline threads here, even though I'm mostly over it. They're still giving us little threads here. So when Roman does come back from his island, there'll be something here with Jimmy. But it's one of those like he's not with the bloodline, but he's kind of seems kind of aligned with them in a weird way. So I don't know. It's interesting. And I mean, hey, if this Jimmy run's going to work as a single star, we're going to find out real quick when he gets in the ring with AJ Styles. So
I was kind of like at a point where I feel like this was the official death of the bloodline, in my opinion, when I saw Jimmy come out, and then it was just like Solo attacks and says, "You're out when we say you're out." And then, you know, like then later on, Jimmy points the finger with the number 1 at the end of the show. And I felt like in order for Jimmy to, for me, in my eyes, when Jimmy needs to be successful, I need Jimmy to not be a part of the bloodline. I think Jay proved that, and Jimmy needs to prove that, like, in my opinion.
But I feel like, don't you feel like that Jay's more of like the one that could be the single star, and Jimmy isn't? Like it's never really felt that way with him. So I think they kind of had to keep him on SmackDown to be with the bloodline, because obviously we've seen it with Jay, like you said, like we've seen it with Jimmy. It's not there. He's kind of the villain in his brother's story. It's just a story that they decided that they started, and we're like, this would probably be better at WrestleMania. So how do we pause it for 7 months?
I'll tell you this much. I'm putting my flag in the stand right now. You can mark the fucking time. It is 8:48 on September 5th, Tuesday. WrestleMania 40. Jimmy Uso goes over on Jay Uso at WrestleMania. That's happening. That's happening. Because here's the thing. They always do that. That you think it's a slam dunk for Jay Uso. They're gonna go out of their way to try to make Jimmy something, because Jay's already made.
Here's my question for you though. How do you feel about the Usos as a tag team not really being a thing for a long time? They're arguably the greatest tag team of all time. And
what else can they do?
Be a tag team. Have great tag team. It's one of those things.
That's not enough for me. This.
So you like it. That's I don't know.
Here's the thing. WWE didn't value. So that's not true. WWE most of the time doesn't value real tag teams. If they do, they're not the tag team champions most of the time. They put the hodgepodge tag teams, together and give them championships.
WrestleMania this year.
No, I know that, but what I'm saying is like the Usos were having a hard time getting on shows, and then they became the Bloodline, and then everything was honky dory. But their lineage doesn't change anything. What they've done doesn't change anything. They're still the best tag team in the WWE. But now you're at a point where they've done everything they can as a tag team. I'm interested to see where this goes. Jay's been doing great work. Jay's got this really lone wolf kind of vibe. I'm cool with it. Like, I'm all right with it. Jimmy, a little different. I don't care about it, but I'm curious to see where it goes. But I feel like the longer the bloodline stink is on Jimmy, the less of a chance he has being a success on his own. That's just my point.
Let me just spin it this way, though, because this is kind of why I'm interested. So again, I'm interested in the Jay part. I think the Jimmy part is just like, it's again about his brother, but it's just like, it feels like they had like a really good TV show, and they're like, let's just make a bunch of spinoffs with the characters apart. But it's like, what made those characters the best is them playing off each other, and now we've kind of done that. Which, granted, Jay has things to work with, whether Sammy stays on Raw or not. Like, there's dynamics with him, but like you said, with like Jimmy, it's just, I don't think there's enough interest there. That it's one of those, it's a tough situation. Okay. I almost feel like you got to make him and Solo a tag team at some point just to keep that interest in the bloodline. Because if not, like, what are we doing?
I don't know. Anything else that's positive for you?
No.
All right, let's move on to the bad stuff, shall we? Get him off my TV, get him off my TV, get him off my TV. Well, where do we start? I can go through a lot of things on SmackDown very quickly. Like, if we want to get into this random shit with Michin and Jimmy getting disrespected. That was some bullshit right there. Then randomly the LWO jobber alert for Sammy and KO because they're not a fucking real tag team. That's fun. Moving on. Shotzi, very different. Like, I just want to see her character be different. And it's just like she's Shotzi with a fucking hair that's different. Nothing's different about her. It's just like, oh, they're trying to make her a crazy person. Let's give her a new look. Let's give her some new music. They gave everybody else new music. Let's go. I don't like it. I like Shotzi an awful lot. I'm done with the character. When she's on my TV, I don't care. I just don't care. And that sucks because I think she's a wonderful character, but they're just not doing her a service. They're not doing her a service. They're doing a disservice to her, in my opinion. Charlotte comes out and fucks up a whole goddamn mess at the end of that thing where they make fucking Io look like shit. It just feels like anytime that Charlotte walks in now, it just seems like sandbagging son of a bitch. That's what she is. Sorry. Like,
they're not booking Io strong either. It's just a typical, like, they're not booking Io properly. It's like, well, she should be looking great, but it's like instead, it's like, what are we doing with this fucking bullshit?
Mm-hmm. I don't really care about the Vikings winning and losing at this point. It seems like they're just doing whatever.
They've won 2 in a row though. Kofi cost McRiddle. Kofi not a big fan of the McRiddle.
He's not the big fan of the McRib, but that's okay. I mean, he looks like a guy that probably just has a parfait instead, or maybe a Shamrock Shake. I don't know, but I'm not a big fan of Kofi getting involved again because it feels like, are we in a triple threat match for no reason? I don't know. I don't know what we're doing here.
I mean, I think this is clearly leading to a McIntyre heel turn. Like
he's not turning heel.
Yes, he is. We talk about Raw needs heels. If he is 100% turning heel, he's gonna turn on fucking Riddle and Kofi at some point. I need slow burn it. It's just like he's the typical guy of like what, like as a baby face. Like we saw him get to the top of the card. The only way he gets back to the top of the card now is as a bad guy. You have fucking babyface champion. You have fucking baby faces everywhere. They need Riddle to turn heel. He's already fought Gunther a million times, so it's like there's not even like babyface work for him to do. This fucking weird ass tag team always felt like a slow, short thing. Anyways, it's so easy for him to turn on Riddle and Kofi. It's a slam dunk.
He's not going to do it. I don't
100%.
Care to wager?
Yeah.
What would you like to wager? I don't know. Let's ponder this for a second. How about if Drew McIntyre, let's have a realistic thing here. By a certain date, if he doesn't turn heel, I'll let you pick a certain date. By WrestleMania, is that fair, or what do you want?
Yeah, fine. I would have said end of the year, but WrestleMania works.
Okay, we'll do end of the year. End of the year is fair. That's still what, 4-5 months away?
That's
Okay,
3-4 months.
Okay, so you're gonna say by the end of the year, by a stroke of midnight, he will be a heel.
Yeah, he'll probably be a heel fucking in 2 weeks.
Okay,
maybe not that soon.
Full-fledged heel. Meaning
he's gonna turn heel. He's gonna turn on Riddle and Kofi. That's him turning heel.
That's not the.
That is. He's attacking his fucking tag team partner, another babyface. That's turning heel.
The way we'll leave this up to everybody else. It's fine. If he's not a full-fledged heel,
see, that's a different argument. He's gonna turn heel.
No, but you can't say he's turning heel and then not.
He's turning heel when he turns on Riddle and Kofi. That is literally him turning heel. That is the definition of turning heel.
You don't know what you're talking about.
So you're telling me when Seth Rollins hit fucking Roman in the back,
that's a heel turn. He stayed as a heel.
Okay,
I'm talking about back and forth things. Back and forth.
His tag team partner and Kofi Kingston were the most beloved baby faces. That is the definition of a heel turn. You're fucking psychotic, bro.
Should go hang out with Punk. So here's what I'm saying. I will shave my head for this program.
Don't promise that because you're gonna have to do it.
If you lose,
shave your head.
I mean, I'll do a whiffle, but I'm not gonna.
What's Nicole gonna say?
No, she'll fucking hate it. That's
exactly. So don't do that. No, I don't want to punish Nicole with this bet. I want to punish you.
Okay. So you can come up with my punishment. You know what I want? I want that entire beard shaved off.
I do that every now and then anyway.
No, I want a baby face smooth. The whole thing gone, JC.
I shaved it. I think I shaved it in the spring completely off, and then last summer.
Okay.
It grows back sort of fucking fast.
Then the caveat: we're not doing the shave thing. The mustache stays.
Oh God.
Yes. That's how confident.
I'm not gonna have to. I could bet $1 million.
Okay, then what would you? Okay, the mustache stays, and you got to take a picture, and it's gonna be your profile picture on the Jobber Knocker Twitter. All right, that's it.
Whatever.
Okay, what do you want from me?
I have to come up with something that is bad for you, but doesn't ruin your wife, get her upset, shaving your head. I can't do that to her. That's not about you. She's the one who's gonna have to look at your fucking dome ass every week. Your kids, God knows, they're gonna be like, Daddy, you look weird.
Yeah, okay. I was just trying to go.
I know it is, but it's
we're not getting a hair match. I'm just decided to go and book myself in a hair match.
You are obsessed with fucking hair matches.
I know. I do need a haircut though. I do need a haircut. All right, whatever. You can come up with your own whenever you're ready. But I want to see that mustache, baby.
You're not going to see it because Drew McIntyre is going to be a heel. I saw you tweet that too, and I was like, this guy's fucking out of his mind.
Well, I am usually. So, yeah. Don't you know I'm wrong about everything anyway?
Exactly. That's why I'm not worried about this bet.
All right.
Maybe people in the chat can come DM me.
No.
Some ideas.
Backcracker should never give anybody ideas.
I've already vetoed some pretty embarrassing things for you for the sake of your wife and your kids. So it's gonna be within reason, but I like to as a man of the people. I like to have some ideas. That was what he rather suggested.
So I look,
grow out your facial hair. But I'm like, again, that's punishing your
it's
wife.
punishing my wife. I'm sorry, I
so
can't
I'm
do
not
that. I can't grow a mustache to save my life anyway, and it would take me over a year. You're right, Joe. You'll think of something, I'm sure. I mean, if you want me to wear some type of mask for an episode or a headdress or something stupid, I will.
It's gotta be worse than that.
I'll do whatever. I have no shame. But anyway, moving on. I don't know where the fuck we were going with this. Zoe and Shayna was kind of an odd thing for me. I think they do whatever they can here, but it's a rough go. We have Chelsea, unfortunately, her partner's out with an illness, that's cursed again. That sucks too. And I have
an idea. Ready for a bonus hope, Nestlemania?
Yeah.
What if the voodoo bitches curse the titles when they merged them? And they can turn this into a storyline. So it's like Chelsea keeps getting new partners, but it's just like they're just cursed, and eventually they lose them back to my fire bitches.
See, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Problem is the fire bitches.
That's how you make a bad situation work.
Yeah, they don't even get on TV, so people are going to be like, "Who the fuck are these guys?"
Yeah, well, that's a booking thing.
So and finally, we kind of talked about Gunther winning and Gable, but it's not necessarily a heat here. What are we laughing at? Oh yeah, I'm not doing that one. Also, in terms of the climate we live in now, I don't think me dressing up like a girl is probably appropriate. I'm just saying.
Oh, it's plenty appropriate.
I don't know. I
don't want to see you in that. No,
I don't think anybody wants to see me.
I don't want to see your pasty little legs.
Excuse me. We're getting out.
I don't want to see your pasty little legs.
Anyway, can we get into the rest of part of the show? Can we get into the hope, please? Because we got some CM Punk to talk about.
We're not going to talk about Gunther and Gable?
He won. Like, what else is there to do? They're not going to do Gable 4, are they? Because they didn't leave any chicanery.
It's one of those things, like maybe they leave it alone for a few months and Gable has to work his way back. He kind of teased that afterwards. But yeah, no, I was kind of looking for a little more here and didn't get it. So I guess naturally that's sweet.
He fucking dumped him on his head. He clotheslined him, powerbombed him good night. And I went, Jesus Christ, I hope he's okay. Like, and watching his poor daughter cry, I was just like, oh God, as a dad, you're just like, Jesus Christ, right on your heartstrings. And, and then the crowd giving him, his props afterwards, I'm sure. But it just sucks because Gable deserves so much. And there's a clip, I don't know if you saw it on social, but it was him taking his boots off in the locker room. He's like, I'm winning that fucking title, goddammit. Yeah. I don't care what it takes. And
that's
I'm like,
what I mean.
That's
I think they can go away from him a little bit and maybe he earns it back somehow. If they do like another tournament around the Saudi event or something, it's just like, I don't mind that because now Gunther can kind of put some mileage on that record, All
right, hopeful time. Let's go. CM Punk, this is our hope. We are going to put in on the sand, the line, and figure out who the hell he could face if he goes to the WWE. Is that what we're doing?
I think we just do whatever we want. I mean, okay. Stoop mentioned it earlier in the comments. Survivor Series in Chicago will be a pretty damn cool place for him to debut. The other one would be like, wait till the Rumble, but I think you could do something with Survivor Series. I don't know what Survivor Series is going to be like this way, but like adding him as like a surprise in some sort of match there would be kind of cool. But Seth Rollins has been the vocal on being like, we don't want Punk. He's a loser, whatever. So you know what feud I want to see? Seth Rollins, CM Punk. Obviously CM Punk, Cody would be interesting. CM Punk, Roman Reigns, like those are the top stars. But even like, he talks about wanting to work with KO and these guys, Punk and Sammy. It's just I think in WWE, they wouldn't be fucking cowards like Tony Khan. They'd let Punk be a full heel again because it's just like they have so many stars. So I think it just brings a different type of dynamic. Just getting him on the mic. Imagine him fucking like going against LA Knight a little bit to get, there's all sorts of possibilities here, which is why it's exciting. And again, I think he'd be more under control. Will there be incidents? Probably, but we probably won't hear about him. Know why, Nestlemania? Because WWE runs a much tighter ship.
It's true. I was looking at this from a perspective of like just the matches I'd love to see would be like CM Punk and Gunther, just to see him chop the shit out of him. You know what I mean? Like I would love that. That would make me fucking laugh my ass off.
Yeah.
Just looking at like Dom and Punk because of the way they left it last time.
Oh, and the Punk Ray history.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Like there's a lot of good stuff there. I think, the Gables, the Kofis. The Kofis is one of his best friends. Obviously, the Miz. We didn't even talk about the Miz, especially after all that stuff. Just there's so many that can go down the line. But the one thing that I think absolutely positively has to happen is having Roman Reigns beat him like definitively.
100%.
That has to happen if he comes back. Almost in quick fashion. Like, you want to step in line, this is how you do it. You want to prove that you're not a fucking child, go fucking put him over and no big deal about it.
You know what's another fucking panty dropper for the virgins is CM Punk, AJ Styles.
Of course.
Because when we have ever gotten, you know what I mean, that they kind of never. So that's one that's interesting for like the panty droppers for like the true wrestling nerds. I would love that too. But also like it's one of those things we kind of got to see it in AEW. Like CM Punk loved working with guys like Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs, and it's like CM Punk and Grayson Waller. Like, are you kidding me? Like, just like you imagine the field day Grayson Waller would have with that. It's just like it's like little things like that. There's a lot of cool things, and obviously, like, look it. I've never been the biggest Punk guy. I've always respected his work as a character, his work in ring, and his work on the mic, especially. But it's just one of those things right now. It's like I just imagine the first promo he cuts on Raw after a debut or something. Just like I'm gonna have my popcorn out because you know there's gonna be a lot of fucking. You're gonna feel the fucking whining, crying tears from the internet fucking dorks who are so mad about it. Oh. I just like I'm frothing at the mouth thinking about it. I
can even see him going to a place where he no longer is the best in the world and he just calls himself like purely elite or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like just go all in on the fucking fucking wagon of it. So I can see a lot of good stuff happening here, a lot of good money to be made. But like I said, that Roman Reigns thing is the top of my list because the fact that he just like steamrolled his reign at 434 days or whatever it was and just fucking shit all over it. And he's like, I did it with 2 titles, motherfucker. Like, it'd be. And Roman Reigns this time around with that would just be like he would just go and annihilate him.
And he got the Paul Heyman factor again. Yeah. So
it's good stuff, very good stuff. But a lot to look forward to. Hopefully we get there. I think
we will. It just makes too much sense, unless if like Nick Khan and the business people like don't think it's worth it from whatever. But I think from a financial aspect and for both sides, like it makes a lot of sense. And our boy Ray kind of alluded to it too. It's like now the door's open to like put him in the Hall of Fame, which is something that, you know, he the criteria for what they have, the low bar, like he well exceeds that. So I think there's definitely an opening for the relationship to be rekindled.
And WrestleMania is in Philadelphia, so that's a big place for Punk. So yeah. Especially where, you know, Philadelphia. Are you ready? Survivor Series. It's literally a full circle. Like, it makes perfect sense.
I need it.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a fun speculation until it happens. Because I don't even know if he has a no compete. You know what I mean?
Well, it's one of those. It's usually weird because it's kind of an unknown with AEW because Tony Khan doesn't really fire people. You know, it's mostly he lets the contracts expire. So it's just kind of how it goes. But usually when you terminate a contract, depending on how it's terminated, there could be a non-compete, but it also might not be because by terminating it, like you're not living up to your end of the deal, meaning that you can't really ask for a non-compete. But I don't know. There might have been something with like, they might not even have fully negotiated the buyout, but I would imagine the max it would be 3 months. It could be as low as 30 days or 0. But it is an interesting thing because with AEW, there's no precedent because this hasn't really happened.
Moving on, it's our comeback. Don't call it a comeback. She's been here for a long time, and I will say this. She's in the top 3 of AEW in general. Her character work is through the fucking roof the last couple weeks. I'm giving my comeback to one Miss Toni Storm, this fucking weird 1950s woman with the fucking, like, she's dressed weird and she's losing her goddamn mind and she's got the fever. And she doesn't know what to do with it, and she's having a problem. Like, when I watch this woman, I'm like, what the fuck is she doing? But it's so entertaining. And I wasn't a big fan of the Outcast in general, but watching what she can do with this and being like kind of like this bizarre human being, I'm interested in because I feel like AEW is so focused on fucking high spot, indie, fucking throw money at it, throw fucking, you know, fucking light tubes and fucking, blood. This was a nice change of pace for me to went, hey, a character. All right, 3 dimensions. I can get behind this. That's my comeback.
Her character work has been very good since they've kind of done it, which is they kind of needed it. So I enjoy. I mean, look, I was a Toni Storm guy from way back when, and I kind of like lost the interest here in AEW, but I'm back. But Nestlemania, my comeback. Hold on, I have a prop. Still one of my favorite theme songs of all time. Ravishing, baby. Lana's back under her real name, CJ Perry, in AEW. She came out after Miro's match, as I believe he said he forsakened or whatever her, and it was kind of like shocked. And I was like, okay, this is literally what we've been waiting for since Miro's been in AEW, is like Lana returning to be by her husband's side, and just how the dynamic would go. She obviously hit Powerhouse Hobbs in the back with a chair after he was beating down Miro. So, I mean, I popped big. I wish they could do that song. Who knows? Maybe they can. Probably not. I think it's CFO song, but it was cool because it's, again, what we've been waiting for. And now that Miro's back in the mix on TV, I think this is the next step in like the evolution of what we're going to get for their character. It might not be a long-term thing, as the internet's kind of alluded to, but I think there's some story here, especially for Miro, because he kind of did. He forsaked his God. He forsaked everything. And so I'm curious how they do this. I'm going to be excited for the Miro, the pre-taped vignette that we have this week, which is most likely coming. But I popped for this big time. This was something from All Out that definitely piqued my interest. So welcome back, CJ Perry /Lana /Crush.
So for me, it's funny because to me, AEW doesn't have a lot of great managers. You know, like you can talk about dumb Don the Thumb Callus doing whatever he's doing there, whatever. Jake Roberts isn't really doing anything with the Murder Hawk.
Stokely Hathaway hasn't been
around.
It
doesn't, you know, like Arn Anderson.
Swerve.
Yeah, like Prince not. Yeah, there's so many things that are kind of like and I don't think they've really had a manager that like really works personally. So I'm interested in see where this goes, because I think it gives him more legs creativity wise, because like if he keeps losing, then nobody cares, right? But he won this match, right? So it is what it is. But seeing him get beat down by Hobbs, I'm like, okay, like I can see Lana beating up what's her name, Harley, whatever, you know, is that her name, Harley? The one from QTV.
Hobbs is weirdly like still with QTV, but not really with QTV. Yeah.
I can see some stuff happening there. Like you can see some rampagey kind of things happening, you know, after 10. So I'm interested to see where it goes. Cause again, the character work will always drive me.
Oh, 100%. And that's something that's always been intriguing with this. It's like Miro was super hot during his TNT title run, but since then you could argue he's done nothing. He came back on Collision. He's beat some cans and had a few things here and there, but hasn't done much till this Hobbs feud. And this was one of the marquee matches on this pay-per-view. So it's definitely going to be interesting. And I'm not even going to acknowledge that comment from Danny, because I know he has never been a big Rusev guy. So
is he a Rusev shamer?
I think him and Dom have always been kind of Rusev Miro shamers. They don't appreciate the meat like the Chicago crowd did. That was fucking like the fucking slap that meat chants, and like the fucking the meat. It's just the meat. Oh my God. Just like, it's one of those things, like a match that's already fun, but the crowd makes it like super fun. It's just bravo, Chicago. Good job. Meat. We all love meat.
They all love their meat in Chicago. That's for sure. Deep dish.
Meat.
Deep dish meat. So on that note, we're in the big old finish. We got a lot to talk about here, I assume. So I'm going to let you take the floor.
SmackDown this week, we have a match that you're going to love. Charlotte and Shotzi, because Charlotte's a babyface, taking on Io and Bayley. Not even worth discussing. AJ and Jimmy Uso, I'm intrigued. We know Cena's around, but yeah, nothing groundbreaking on SmackDown.
Cena will not be there this week because it's in Boston.
Okay. Is it in Boston this week?
It's in Boston this week. Yep. And none of us are probably going. Maybe Dom will go because Dom shows up like last second and figures it out. But I don't know. I'm not interested in anything that you've said so far.
Nope. On Raw, we have the rematch, Ripley and Raquel. Dom is barred from ringside. I would assume they'll be given a premier spot, and Rhea will probably eventually get the win to put a bow on this. And also, Cody Rhodes returns to Raw, even though he was there last week because he came out after and kind of like danced Gable around the ring. But he will be back on TV next week.
I mean, where else is he going to do? I mean,
I don't know. He's been on SmackDown randomly. It's just
do you get excited for the thought of Cena versus Cody at a pay-per-view?
I'm intrigued by it. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like,
I know he wants it.
You're never gonna find me like not intrigued by anything Cody or Cena does. Like they're like two of the fucking titans in the industry for a reason. Like no matter what they do, I'm paying attention because they're that damn good. So,
by the way, I had to laugh so hard with the Cena backstage segment when he had the fucking bow tie and the big ears.
He was great. He was great.
He's amazing. Anything else?
AEW. We can kind of get in the talk. I saw Aussie Open will be facing Les Sex Gods as Jericho and Sammy are like a tag team again. Also, All Out was the first pay-per-view Jericho has not been a part of. A little fun trivia fact there since AEW's inception. But I don't know. I think this is just a time we kind of talk about. Obviously, the main event of All Out was kind of like what we discussed. It was kind of cool. Orange Cassidy and Moxley, mid-card title, kind of main eventing a show and deservingly main eventing it. We don't see that very often at all. And see him deliver pretty violent match there, as you know Moxley does, and the Orange Cassidy reign ended. And when I saw it, I was like, you know what? It makes sense. Like this was good timing, and now maybe my boy can rest because Utah. I mean, they kind of made the. I think Pierce made the comment about Seth being a workhorse champion. I was like, huh? Have you watched AEW at all? Fucking Orange Cassidy defends that thing fucking twice a week like a lunatic. So the man deserves it. I'm glad he got his flowers. It was cool that he got to main event a show. But the rest of the pay-per-view, I mean, like what? Like what are we talking
I
about?
agree. I would not pay $50 for that pay-per-view. I didn't. But again, watching what I could of all the clips, I was really excited to see Orange Cassidy get his flowers. Like you said, I like the boxing intro. That looked really fucking cool. They made it feel a big deal. And, you know, everybody can say what they want, but he had like 38 title defenses. So for me, that's like more than Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins or anybody else. To me, and I'm putting it in the knocker category right now. He's in the category of best champion. He's going to win.
He's been there, buddy. Come on.
He's going to win because there's nobody better than him. Nobody.
I'm not going to spoil my pick because there's been some good champions this year.
By the way, Danny says we get to see Veer on Friday.
I mean, they got to promote that India show somehow. I don't even know if it's on TV, but I mean, I'm assuming they're fighting something because
it's bizarre that
we literally haven't seen them since they got drafted.
They were in for a hot minute when they got drafted, right?
Yeah, that was it. They like squashed someone, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, they're gonna win the titles!" I'm like, "What? What are we talking about?"
You never know. You never know.
I think we know.
All right. Well, are you all set? Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Well, anyway, I've worked with a child for this whole hour and 10 minutes, so
I should playing with yourself this whole time.
No, you're the child.
No, I'm the adult in this program.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'm younger and more mature and prettier and cooler and smarter and funnier and every other positive thing about
her. On that note, he's going to keep talking, so I'm just going to let him keep going. Thank you for listening to the Jobber Knocker podcast. We'll be back next week with more Jobber Knockery
and meat.